What's going on, everybody? CW Entertainment here. Let's go ahead and get to it. The Chicago Bears have officially fired head coach John Fox. He would not be returning for, I believe, the final year of his contract. Signed a 4-year deal. He only made it through 3, and the 3 years were not good at all. Especially, especially this last season. Actually, the last 2 seasons were pretty bad. This season, it felt almost worse than that 3-13 season, just because of some of the stupid play calling that was going on. Just a lot of the, just the normal BS that was happening throughout the game. He was poorly challenging plays that he shouldn't have challenged, and then there were just some situations that he decided either maybe not to go for it, or to be a 4th and 1 they would just always punt it, and you're already out of the playoff race, so why not? Then the holding back of Trubisky. Now it could be said that he still wasn't ready. We still don't know. We're never gonna know. They're never gonna come out with that unless probably Trubisky comes out and says it himself. But it is official. John Fox era is officially over. The Bears will be getting their 3rd head coach in the last 5 years, and it's beginning to look like a little train wreck up there. And the Trestman debacle, that was a train wreck. You kind of had to get rid of him. John Fox situation, him and Ryan Pace were coming up, take over, and it was pretty ugly, just because they had the whole situation of trying to rebuild the entire roster, and then they were coming in. You had to figure out, okay, we're no longer going to be running a 4-3 defense, so now we got to convert the defense over to a 3-4. Now, the defense has been probably the lone bright spot of this entire era. With John Fox, they had some pretty solid games where you could tell that defense, it's eventually there if they just ever could figure out to keep the entire team healthy, especially the defensive side of the ball. That's a top 10 defense that they can have over there. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started a little bit more with this video. The first year with John Fox wound up finishing off as a 6-10 record. Started off losing the very first 3 games in the season, and the very first game of that year in 2015 was against the Green Bay Packers. They had a fighting chance there, but it didn't go as planned once again, as they lose to the Packers. And they play the Arizona Cardinals. They wound up getting blown out at home 48-23. Then they play the Seattle Seahawks when the Seahawks were healthy and still dominant. And they got shut out. That game, Jimmy Clausen was the starting quarterback because Cutler had got hurt with a groin injury, and they lost 26-0 in Seattle. Then they come back the next week and they beat the Oakland Raiders 22-20 at home, and it was like, okay, got a nice win against the Raiders, we'll take it. Then the following week they go out to Kansas City. Jay Cutler has a game-winning drive, throws it to Matt Forte in the corner of the end zone, and winds up winning the game 18-17 versus the Chiefs. Then you think, okay, maybe we got something clicking here. Then we go up to Detroit and wind up falling 34-37, heading into the bye week at 2-4. They come out of the bye week and wind up losing 23-20 to the Minnesota Vikings. So you see that they're sticking close in these games. They're just barely losing, thinking maybe they can eventually get something going. Then the following week, they go down there to San Diego before they move to Los Angeles. They take care of the Chargers 22-19. That's when Zach Miller made the great one-handed grab over the middle of the field and made a spectacular. I'm still at loss how Zach Miller made that catch. Cutler threw an absolute dart, and he still came down. I thought the ball went whizzing past him, and he makes that great one-handed catch. Then the following week, they go down to St. Louis and they blow out the St. Louis Rams. And at that time, it was definitely before they moved, but at that time, Jeremy Langford had taken over for Matt Forte. Forte went down with injury. Don't remember what his injury was. That was a couple years ago. But actually, Langford was that starting back in that San Diego game too. But yeah, Langford was going all over the place. He was ripping off screen plays. He was ripping off long runs. And he just absolutely dismantled that Rams team. And then it started looking like there was a bright spot, man. We had finally got, a couple wins under our belt. At that point, they were 4-5 on the year. And then here comes John Fox's old team. They're not playing Peyton Manning this game. He's still out, and I believe he was out the rest of the year. And Brock Osweiler took over. And we're like, okay, Brock Osweiler versus Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's clearly going to have this on lockdown. Problem was the offense couldn't do nothing. And I believe, but either he got a pick 6 or he got an interception. But Danny Trevathan had got a big pick on Jay Cutler in that game. No surprise, you guys know Jay Cutler's known for throwing picks. And he wound up costing the Bears a game. And it was a 17-15 victory for Brock Osweiler. And it was just like, come on, man. We had one opportunity to finally get back to 500, and you guys blow it. And then it comes to the best game probably under the entire John Fox era, the Thanksgiving game against the Green Bay Packers, where the Bears roll into Lambeau Field on Brett Favre night and take care of business, get the win, 17-13. Aaron Rodgers tried finding one of his receivers in the end zone on the very last play of the game, where Bryce Callahan was in coverage, making sure that pass would not get through. And it was just a really great game. Yeah, by far that was the best game under the entire John Fox era, regardless of what other wins they may have had. But he beat the Green Bay Packers on Brett Favre night. I don't know if they were retiring his jersey or just honoring him or whatever they were doing. But yeah, definitely the number one spot. Then, your next two games, you got the lowly 49ers and you got the lowly Washington Redskins. And they wound up dropping both of those games. I believe, I want to say, both of them went into overtime. In the game against the 49ers, this is like the first time they signed Deontay Thompson. Robbie Gould had an opportunity to kick the game-winning field goal, and he wound up missing. Deontay Thompson had this great kick return that brought him all the way down inside inside the 20, 25, or maybe even 50. It was a real chip shot for Robbie. It's Robbie Gould. That was a chip shot, and that was probably Robbie Gould's worst year, especially under the Bears. And he wound up shanking it. Bears wound up losing. There was somebody running wide open down the sideline, I believe, for the 49ers, and wound up scoring the game-winning touchdown. Yeah, Gabbert threw a game-winning touchdown pass. And then they wound up losing to the Redskins 24-21. And the Vikings follow up next with a beatdown. Never get to 500 that season. And the dude wound up getting one final win against the Buccaneers 26-21. And follow off the season 24-20 against the Detroit Lions. And so, it was a 6-10 year. Now, it was their best year under the Fox era, because the next year definitely didn't get any better. They actually wound up posting the worst record in Bears franchise history under the 16-game schedule. And it started off, guess what? Another 3-game losing streak. Wound up losing to the Texans. They lose to the Eagles. They got embarrassed by the Eagles on Monday night. Yeah, I believe it was it was Monday Night Football. Carson Wentz, first road game. He comes in there and he just lights it up. And then you got the commentators and all this and that. They're all jazzed up, and they're like, oh, Wentz looks like the greatest quarterback ever. And this is when Wentz was going crazy his first few games. And then you had Cutler. Cutler goes down. Pernell McPhee's hollering at him on the sideline while Pernell McPhee is hurt, because Pernell was consistently hurt. Still is hurt. Then they go down on I believe a Sunday night game, play the Dallas Cowboys, and they get walked up out of Dallas. Nothing really goes right. Then they finally decide to get a win. They beat the Detroit Lions at home 17-14 and get a nice win there. Then Brian Hoyer is in at quarterback at this time. And then they wind up playing the Indianapolis Colts 29-23. They wind up losing. And I remember Alshon Jeffrey was wide open. He had beat Vontae Davis, and Brian Hoyer never sees him, and Alshon is pissed off the entire way while he is running up that field. And he was wide open when they had the game-winning touchdown, and they wound up losing to the Colts. They lose to the Jaguars the next game, and it's part of the 3-game losing streak again. They lose 17-16. It's either Allen Hurns or Allen Robinson. No. It was neither one. It was Aurelius Ben. He hadn't had like a catch all year. He winds up breaking off Tracy Porter. Porter either misses the tackle or he ran a good route on him. Porter misses, and then he winds up going in for a game-winning touchdown. And it was just ugly. And they lose to the Green Bay Packers 26-10. Then they come back on Monday night. It's Jay Cutler's return, and they beat the Minnesota Vikings 20-10. They actually upset the Vikings. That actually started, helped get started that Vikings diminished, because the Vikings were real hot that year, and then they just started unraveling very, very fast. And I believe either the Bears started it or they were the second game, and then after that it just went complete crap. Then they go down to Tampa Bay, get blown out 36-10, and it was just not pretty. Kyle Long wound up getting hurt in that game. They put him out for the year. Jay Cutler threw 3 first half interceptions. He had maybe 4 or 5 turnovers that game. It just wasn't nothing working again. You thought, okay, going into that bye week, maybe we know how to get something going, man. After we beat the Minnesota Vikings, maybe we get a little bit of roll going. But no, Buccaneers go out there and blow us out. The next week, they wound up losing to the Giants 22-16. Then they lose to the Tennessee Titans 27-21. That was the game Matt Barkley played. He was trying to rally that comeback, but everybody just couldn't catch a pass. We had Deontay Thompson drop a game-winning touchdown, and Josh Bellamy dropped a game-winning touchdown. Both of them in the end zone. It's just you guys serious, and you guys are professional wide receivers. Catch the football. It's not that hard. And I believe, Marquise Wilson, he also dropped a touchdown pass, and it was just drops galore that happened throughout that game. Then the next week, they play the San Francisco 49ers. Take care of business, 26-6. No problem there. But at this point, the season's already lost. The fans were already why? We don't care anymore. You guys have disappointed us this entire season. You don't get your third win until December 4th. Come on, and it comes against the 49ers. Next week, Matt Barkley's trying to lead the team once again. It doesn't happen. They fall 20-17. Then they wind up losing to the Packers 30-27. Redskins 41-21. And they end the year losing to the Vikings 38-10. Finished that season on a 4-game losing streak, and it just wasn't pretty. Now we finally get to this year, 5-11 season. Not much more to explain with this one. It was a shit show from the start. They started off losing their first 2 games, and then they wound up beating Pittsburgh. Mike Glennon was the quarterback during this first 4-game stretch, but Mike Glennon definitely did not win that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was definitely a Jordan Howard and a Tariq Cohen win. Now, how that game ended up going into overtime is beyond me, but they wound up taking care of business, and they still got the dub. And then we're like, okay, you beat Pittsburgh. That was all the controversy with their player. Everybody was supposed to stay in the locker room, and then they didn't stay in the locker. Then they had one guy who didn't stay in the locker room. I believe he served in the military, so he was trying to honor the flag and all that. Then the next week, they wound up getting blown out by the Green Bay Packers. I believe it was it was on Thursday Night Football. Mike Glennon, he was throwing picks left and right. You remember hearing Tony Romo? He was on the call. He was just like, oh no, and you could just hear him, just with the turnovers, Glennon. And then that was the end of the Glennon era. He had 4 short games, and he didn't look good in any of them. So then we get this debut of our new starting quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. He winds up going out there leading us to a 20-17 loss. Wound up throwing a pick on one of the final drives of the game for the Bears. It was a 2-minute situation, and Harrison Smith did a great job baiting them, getting that interception. He did a great job. Harrison Smith, he's an all-pro safety, or he's at least he's a Pro Bowl safety. He's one of the best in the league, and he made a great play. He baited Trubisky, and Trubisky knew you hope he would grow from it and probably make the next reads better. So then we get into a 2-game win streak, starting off with the Baltimore Ravens. We were dominating the Ravens the whole game, and then special teams decides to let it down. And so Trubisky has to come in overtime and make some big throws, and he does exactly that. Winds up finding Kendall Wright on a 3rd down play, and it was a great catch by Kendall Wright, and it was a great throw by Trubisky. He had pressure all over him, had to throw it off his back feet. He was kind of leaning back, and this was one of them plays. It was like, okay, Trubisky, we see you. We see you, man. We see you. This is exactly who we were thinking we were going to get when we were drafting. Then the next week, we play the Carolina Panthers to get a 17-3 victory. Now, This was the defensive win. This is actually the Eddie Jackson game. Eddie Jackson gets a fumble recovery for 75 yards and a pick six for 76 yards, and he was making record books all over the day that day. And it was just like, okay, look at Eddie Jackson. We're finally starting to see Eddie Jackson like we wanted to see him. We knew this guy was going to be great, and he was doing his thing. Now, didn't nobody expect the Bears possibly to even win 3 games in this first 8 games? And then it just happened to be that, hey, look at that. You beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, beat the Baltimore Ravens, and you beat the Carolina Panthers. Not bad. So then they wound up losing to the Saints. That was the Zach Miller game. Unfortunately, Zach Miller almost lost his knee in that, or he almost lost his leg, excuse me. Wound up injuring his knee extremely bad. They had to have emergency surgery on it. Fortunately for him, he does wind up getting that knee saved. The doctors did a great job with him. You know, prayers out to Zach Miller and everything. Hopefully everything is all right with him as he is starting his recovery process. Don't expect him back for the next season. There's no way he's going to be playing in 2018. I don't even know if he'll be playing for the rest of his career, especially after that one. That was a pretty devastating injury. But we do wind up following that. Al Riveron, he winds up blowing the call, saying Zach Miller dropped it, and they wound up costing the Bears. Coming into the bye week, though, you still felt pretty good about that loss to the Saints, though. I mean, you hung with the Saints and you held them to 20 points. You hold that New Orleans Saints offense to 20 points, you got a very good chance of winning that ball game. Fortunately, the Bears just don't have any offense. Then coming out of the bye week, got the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is done. He's not really, you're not thinking about him coming back anytime soon. And then you lose to Brett Hundley 23-16. You had a terrible game plan coming out, and it didn't look like anything that should have been even thought of. Like, the game plan was just horrific, and you lose to Brett Hundley. Hundley's out here making passes, looking like he's Aaron Rodgers out here. Next week, you lose to the Lions 27-24. Now, that's the game plan we were expecting against the Green Bay Packers, and it just amazes how John Fox and Dowell Loggins just did not get anything like right all season. Like, they picked and chose which games they wanted to do, or they wanted to have any kind of success in, and it wound up costing all of them their jobs. Then they wound up getting blown out by the Eagles. We all expected that, 31-3. Then the next week, they lose to the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo's first career start as a 49er. And Robbie Gould winds up winning them that game. He hit 5 for 5 on field goals. It was 15-14. Offense only scored 7 points because Tariq Cohen took a great punt return all the way back for a touchdown. Everybody was chanting no, no, no. And then next thing you know, you're saying yes, yes, yes. And he was going the wrong way. He lost about 15 yards when he was returning. He lost about 15 yards, and he cut it back upfield. And that was probably one of the most exciting plays of the year. And really the most exciting plays all year were Tariq Cohen. He made the most exciting plays all season long. And yet, the Bears didn't know how to use him properly throughout the year. You would see flashes of him. He used to be like, yeah, let's get getting Tariq Cohen involved. Yeah, look what Cohen can do. Look what Cohen can do. Then the next week, maybe next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you don't see him. He just disappears. He disappears from the offense. It makes absolutely no sense. And little stuff like this is what got them fired. Then we go to the next week, the Cincinnati Bengals. We roll up into Cincinnati. And you know Trubisky wants to put on a show for his hometown state. He does exactly that, willing the Bears to a 33-7 win. And this is when we finally started to see Adam Shaheen a little bit more. It was glad to see Shaheen. Shaheen wound up getting hurt in this game, though. He did get a touchdown grab, but it was like, okay, Trubisky and Shaheen, man, this could possibly work. You also got a good sight in the Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen. Them two were running all over the place with the Bengals. The Bengals had already had their coach say, you know, he's not coming back. So it just looked like, yeah, they're not going to be playing for anything anymore. So you could say that. Bengals has injuries all over the place. But that was by far Trubisky's best game. He dominated the Cincinnati Bengals throughout that game. Then the next week, it was obviously one of the worst games Trubisky's had. He winds up throwing 3 picks against the Detroit Lions, 20-10. And that was a Saturday game that they had. And this is another reason why Fox deserved to be fired. He wound up saying this was Trubisky's best game. How in the world do you throw 3 interceptions and say that is his best games? I mean, it clearly is other stuff he may have been looking at that he thought, oh yeah, that was his best game, but John Fox preaches on limiting turnovers. If Trubisky throws 3 second half interceptions, that's not your best game. Then you wind up dominating the Browns 20-3. Now, you finally do see that there is a team out there that is worse than the Chicago Bears, and that is the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are absolutely terrible, and they're going to be probably bad for a long time. I mean, who knows if they wind up figuring everything out or not. I mean, they got all these picks in the world, and they still can't get things rolling. Probably going to wind up drafting another quarterback this year once again. You know, they probably should just let Kaiser, try to develop and grow. Then the Bears lose yesterday to the Minnesota Vikings. It wasn't even close. It was 23-10, and the Bears just looked bad throughout the entire game. But that is it. I know this ran a little bit longer than what I was hoping for, but hopefully you guys did enjoy. John Fox is officially fired. We'll have a new head coach this year. Ryan Pace will be leading that charge. He's having a press conference at 4 p.m. Central Time today. So make sure you guys probably tune into that. I might come back a little bit later with another video, just depending on what he says throughout that press conference. If it's anything kind of newsworthy at all, I might come back with it. And thank you all very much for tuning in. Hope you guys have a happy new year. I know a lot of Bears fans got what they wanted for New Year's, and that is John Fox being fired. But hey, thank you all very much for listening. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys hit the like button. And for more Chicago Bears content, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with the videos I'll be posting. And I'm out till next time, everybody. Once again, happy New Year's. Peace.